Well, it's that time of the year again. The Grammy nominations are upon us, and today I'm going to be sitting down and telling you exactly what I think is going to happen in all of the Grammy categories that are relevant to me. I couldn't possibly go through all the categories because some of them I frankly just don't care about, but I'm going to be talking about most of the big categories and all of the pop categories here today. So if you're interested in that, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zach. I'm the Swiftologist. I make thoughtful weekly videos about pop culture, and I have been having some thoughts about the Grammys. The Grammys this year are completely stacked. There has been so much music created in 2024, so much incredible music of 2024 that I think it's genuinely going to be really difficult to narrow down to 8 or 5 nominations in each of these categories. And there are plenty of deserving albums. You can make an argument for nearly all of the artists and records nominated this year as to why they deserve. I think this year there are going to be a lot of unfortunate upsets because it is so stacked that there can only be so many winners. But before we get into the video, I have to let you know that, are you noticing something that I'm wearing? My Swiftologist hoodie. I love this color. It's so comfy. Go to evolutionofasnake.com to purchase one of these if you would like one. There's also a t-shirt and a hat and a little notebook. What you may know is that it is my birthday, and I am pre-recording this video, so obviously I'm not coming to you actually on my birthday itself, but it is my birthday. I did a logo refresh and redesign with the incredible Kel Lauren, who knocked it out of the park. I wanted something minimal, elegant, simple, classic. So this is the first kind of offering that I have for you of Swiftologist merch. It's my birthday, so I feel like as a gift to me, you should buy my merch. That is so Taylor Swift coded. It's my birthday. Buy something from me. I don't want to put this on because I don't want to mess up my hair, but like, how cute is this hat? I mean, come on, I'm gonna have to put it on just for a second. Hello. You could be walking around like this. You could be the incognito Swiftologist, and I think that you should. My words are very powerful. They have the impact of moving people to write essays and send harassment in my comment section. So I think that it bears repeating that these are just my opinions. If you don't agree, that's totally fine, but share your hatred of me on your own page. You will not be allowed to run amok in my comment section. There is no free speech in my comment section. If you're not being respectful, you're getting blocked, and I will meet you with the energy that you give me. So I think it's just important to remind everyone of that before we discuss that these are just my opinions here today. Shall we start with the most competitive category this year, which is Album of the Year? It's kind of a porous category, Album of the Year, and this year it is absolutely stacked with pop records as contenders. And generally in the last couple of years, pop has dominated the Album of the Year wins. I think this is because the Grammys is starting to award awareness and cognizance of a project. That's not always true. There are occasional outliers here and there, but in general, I think that if you have a very high-selling, well-received-ish record, it doesn't even really need to be that well-received by the critics. If you sell a lot of records, you're in contention for a spot here. And this year has been a great year for record sales. R&B and country are usually represented in the nominations, but they don't tend to win in this category. And this is the big award of the night that is supposed to honor artistic achievement, technical proficiency, and overall excellence in the recording industry, without regard to album sales, chart position, or critical reception, which I think is crazy because I think those things are absolutely being taken into consideration. I mean, why is Taylor Swift's Midnights winning over something like Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard without commercial success being a factor of consideration? If we're just going off of artistic excellence and merit, we all know that Tunnel deserved over Midnights, and that's just one example of how that logic doesn't really cohere or hold up. The reality of the Grammys is that it's a political organization. There are ways that they coalesce around certain people and certain projects. And, the bigger artist that you are, the more a label has spent on you, the more of a Grammy push you're going to get. So it doesn't automatically equal one achievement into Grammy nomination. For example, just because you had a really culturally impactful album that had a huge moment doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to jump through the hoops behind the scenes required to clear the nominations process. It is political. People vote based off of their genre. They vote based off of who they worked with. They vote based off of who is aligned with their label. There are numerous factors to consider when trying to understand why someone got nominated for something, which is why there are often surprising omissions and surprising inclusions. So this is a year for the girls. Here's who I think are shoe-ins for Album of the Year nominations in this order. Cowboy Carter, Beyonce. I mean, Beyonce has been campaigning for an Album of the Year win forever. Not directly, because I don't think she likes to court the Grammy voters. She would like to be awarded, but doesn't necessarily do a lot of the handshaking that Grammy nominations kind of often entail. Taylor Swift is a known Grammy servicer. She is who I have at number 2 as the most likely to be nominated with the Tortured Poets department. She is someone that works the system. She understands that you have to rub elbows to get where you want to go, and she does that. Another person who's very much capable of doing that is Ariana Grande. Grande. I have her at number 3 with Eternal Sunshine, and she has been on a Grammy campaign. I don't know if you've noticed all these live performances she's been doing. She has kicked back up her Eternal Sunshine promo, even though the album came out way earlier this year, kind of in tandem with her Wicked exposure that she's getting at the moment. So Ariana is really making sure that she is at the forefront of voters' minds, and I think that that goes a long way when it comes to securing a nomination. Hit Me Hard and Soft, Billie Eilish, she's a Grammy darling, so I think that she just is a shoo-in in general. This was very well received by the critics. Not an album that I really particularly enjoyed this year, but I understand that people really like it, and there is some sort of artistic excellence there that people are enjoying. Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, Chappell, Roan. Now, I hope that Chappell's going to have a sweep of the big 4: record, song, best new artist, and album of the year. I think that if anyone can do it, it's Chappell Roan, and the moment and the year that she's had. Chappell seems to be kind of playing the game with her For Your Consideration materials with the Grammys, and I haven't heard her speaking loudly or badly about the Grammys, which is something that they do not like, by the way. If you criticize the Grammys, it becomes kind of hard to succeed with them, which brings me to my next likely contender for an Album of the Year nomination, Brat by Charli XCX. Of course, if you ask anybody who is on the internet, they are going to tell you that this is the Album of the Year, it is the shoo-in, it is going to win. I think it is not that simple. I think it's a larger hurdle for Charli to clear than one might think. She hasn't exactly been super flattering about the Grammys in the past, and she's acknowledged this contradiction in herself, that she says that she doesn't want it, but at the end of the day really does kind of want to win a Grammy. And, you know, Brat as an idea, as a concept, is certainly an Album of the Year contender. I just wonder about whether she has the kind of like leverage to secure a nomination or a seat at the table in this conversation. I think we are definitely going to see some Charli nominations, and I'm pretty sure she will be nominated in Album of the Year, but again, it's a stacked category. And of course, they're not going to make this an entirely pop category. They never do. There's always going to be a couple of other inclusions. So I think some strong contenders here are probably like Zach Bryan or Vampire Weekend. They both released like fairly acclaimed albums. Zach Bryan has been very popular in the United States this year, so the Great American Bar Scene has just been smashing and smashing. I don't see why that wouldn't be included. Sufjan Stevens has released Javelin, which was, you know, met with critical acclaim, and I think that the Grammys every so often does like to throw an alternative record a bone, and I think that this is a good one for them to choose. Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter, I think it might miss the Album of the Year nomination. I think that it deserves, for sure, but I think it might actually miss this, and I think Sabrina has a better shot at winning in Best Pop Vocal Album, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. I wouldn't throw Deeper Well off the table. Casey Musgrave's Golden Hour Album of the Year win certainly showed that she's on the Academy's radar, but if I can speak my truth, Deeper Well is not deserving of any Grammys at all, under any circumstances. This record really was flat and boring, and I think that Starcrust also was flat and boring. So Casey, I don't think deserves, but I think she definitely has a shot. Brittany Howard also released a record this year called What Now, and she is the lead singer of Alabama Shakes. She's been nominated for multiple Grammys and has won, I think, maybe like 5 times. So those are the kind of overall contenders of who I think is a shoo-in for Album of the Year. Now let's talk about who will win and who should win. I know everyone is expecting me to say that Taylor Swift should win Album of the Year. I'm always either pissing off the Swifties for not rank and file lining behind her, or I'm pissing off the other people on the internet by supporting her, but, you know, that's neither here nor there, because I will always speak my truth, my honest truth. And my truth is that Torture Poets Department may be my Album of the Year, but it is probably not the Album of the Year. If I had to choose between Midnights and Tortured Poets winning an Album of the Year, I certainly would have picked Tortured Poets over Midnights, but I think when I'm looking at the competition here, I'm not seeing the clearest cut argument for why Taylor Swift deserves it. If she had never won Album of the Year before, if she hadn't won it in a while, especially if she hadn't won it last year, I would be more willing to like entertain this idea. But given that Midnight's won, I'm kind of like, well, you've had enough. You've had your lot. 4 is a lot. And Tortured Poets certainly was not met with resounding critical acclaim. It was extremely popular. You cannot take away the fact that it was a commercial force to be reckoned with, a cultural moment. Whether the internet likes to believe that or not, it certainly was. And for all of those reasons, it deserves a nomination, but I don't think that it should win. Cowboy Carter by Beyonce. Beyonce and Jay-Z have a little bit painted Beyonce into a corner by loudly insisting that she deserves to win an Album of the Year and that it's a shame that she hasn't. And I truly believe that Renaissance was like robbed at gunpoint. Renaissance deserved Album of the Year so bad. It was a very clear-cut example of the Grammys being prejudiced and of them not awarding excellence and instead awarding, I don't know, commercial potential or who can brown nose the most in the industry, because Harry Styles won that year. And we all know that that record was nowhere near the caliber of excellence that was delivered on Renaissance. Cowboy Carter, to me, is a technically excellent record. There is so much to admire and appreciate on this album, but it definitely feels like an album that was like made to prove a point and perhaps even made to try and win album of the year. I think Jay-Z's impassioned speech about how Beyonce has never won this award last year has put the Grammys in between a rock and a hard place, because if they award Cowboy Carter this year, it's going to kind of look like a consolation prize, or that they felt that they had to eventually award Beyonce because she had been overlooked for so long. And I'm generally not in favor of awarding an artist because they are the artist or because they have the moment. And this is why I took issue with Taylor Swift winning for album of the year with Midnights last year. I really felt like she was being awarded based on the Eras tour and the fantastic year that she'd had. I don't think that we should be awarding artists based on the moment in which they arrive. I think that album of the year should be about the work and the record. And Cowboy Carter definitely had its moment, but it also certainly came and went. Like the moment for Cowboy Carter is not like still happening. And I think that there are other records that came out that eclipsed it in cultural relevance. And I also think that there are better Beyonce records. So I agree that Beyonce absolutely should have won an album of the year in the past and that she should definitely win one in the future going forward. But to me, in my opinion, Cowboy Carter is not that album for her. Let's talk about Eternal Sunshine by Ariana Grande. To me, this is Ariana Grande's by far and away best work. This is a taut, elegant, frankly incredible, and very deceptively simple and minimal ode to a heartbreak. And I think that it is a concept album executed very well and with polish. And I think that it's understated. I think that Ariana is using her instrument, her voice in a really interesting way on this record. And I think that it has pushed her artistry into a new caliber, a new level of excellence. And I also think that it's one of those records that she didn't need to beat over people's heads. It was just good. It came out and it was good and people liked it. And it had its moment for sure. And those songs are enduring. We Can't Be Friends is a great song. Yes and was kind of a bit of a red herring on that record, but I would say from start to finish, it's pretty great. And I think for me, Eternal Sunshine is probably my album of the year in terms of like an album that shocked me and gave me pause and made me review an artist in a different light or in a way that I hadn't considered her before. So I really appreciated the versatility of Ariana's instrument and her songwriting on that record. Now, Hit Me Hard and Soft is always a contender. Billie is always a contender. The Grammys love her. Again, I've said this over and over, and you really need to not take this personally, but I just don't get it. Billie is just not for me. It's not my kind of music. And Hit Me Hard and Soft, especially to me, was really like sound machine music. That's just my opinion, which I'm entitled to. I don't think that it was sufficiently excellent compared to her records that have won Grammys in the past. I think that her debut was a much more interesting project. I don't really think that she did anything new on Hit Me Hard and Soft, and doing something new is not always a necessity, but I felt that her second record was a lot better than her third, and that comparison, when you have such a short body of work, such a limited discography, didn't really feel like a powerful argument for her needing to get album of the year this year. I think there are other moments where she could deserve or might get a record for sure. But, you know, Billie's a strong contender, and I think that she's a Grammy darling. So the critics liked it. The fans liked it. It sold well. Number 2 after Torture Poets Department. So it definitely has a chance. The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. Now, to me, this is what should win. And I'm kind of predicting a Chappell sweep. I'm hoping that there will be one. I think that the Grammys do love a story, and they do love an underdog, and they do love an ingenue, particularly a young female ingenue. And Chappell really kind of burst out of nowhere. And I think a lot of the industry has been scratching their heads and wondering, how did this girl with no budget and no label orchestrate an album campaign after her record even came out that managed to by far and away surpass the artists that we pumped hundreds of thousands of dollars into trying to get their records off the ground? I'm looking at you, Dua Lipa. I think a lot of the labels were sitting around and wondering, what does she have that we don't have? What is she doing that we don't understand? How is she playing to the masses in a way that we completely overlooked? And that has so much to do with Chappell's songwriting ability, but also her performance and her navigation of being a public figure. That is controversial, but it is also very different and unique. Her sense of self is so strong, and you could hear that so clearly in her music. Good Luck Babe has been a gigantic hit this year, and it has been an extremely stable hit too. It's been charting for a long time, holding steady in its positions. So I think that Rise and Fall also is just a generally incredible record. What an amazing debut record. Chappell really had the advantage of, you know, having to scrap and work for it for a really long time and coming out with a really well, fully executed project. So I think it would be a great story to have Rise and Fall win this, and an icing on the cake moment for this incredible year that Chappell has had. And I'm always like rooting for the underdog. That's always kind of something that I am interested in seeing. And speaking of underdogs, let's talk about Brat by Charli XCX. There is 100% an argument to be made for Brat winning album of the year. It was a cultural moment. It took the internet by storm. It was critically very well received. I wonder, did it make the same waves within the industry that it made within kind of like TikTok and with, critics, a very specific kind of music scene? I think that there is a lot to admire on this record. It's Charli at her most, next level Charli. She really challenged herself and pushed the boat out in terms of like how well she can execute a vision, not just an album, but a vision. And that's something that I really appreciate in an album of the year contender. It's like, how well did you execute your concept? Eternal Sunshine to me was kind of like a narrative and a story. So that execution makes it deserving of album of the year. But Brat was like a moment. It was like a marketing campaign. It was not just a record of songs. It was so much more than that. And when it went out into the world, it really took on a life of its own. So that alone makes it a strong contender for an album of the year win. Do I think that it's going to win? Probably not. I don't think so. I think that Charli probably doesn't have the leverage to pull through all of these other heavy hitters. And it's interesting because so many of these records would just be the automatic, like, no-brainer winner in another year when there were like weaker contenders to be up against. But I think that this is such a year of stacked categories, as I said, that it's difficult to even put your money on one thing. I think they all have a pretty good shot at winning. And then, of course, there are like the upsets that can happen with the Grammys. Like, they do occasionally like to award random people that you and I might not think are the most relevant people in the world, but the industry has a lot of respect for. And it's that chasm between like what the industry respects and what the public respects that I think confuses people about the Grammys. It is not a fan voted award show. It is more about like the behind the scenes workings of the music industry than it is about like the outward success of a record, although that does obviously get taken into consideration. I do think that Short and Sweet has a little bit of a chance, but as an overall body of work, I think that Short and Sweet is great, but it doesn't meet the barometer of excellence that I'm seeing in the rest of the category. Do I think it's better than Hit Me Hard and Soft? Yes, but that's just a matter of personal taste. I think that Sabrina is still kind of on the come up and finding herself and finding her groove, and I think that Sabrina has a great chance at winning in Record and Song of the Year, and I think that Album of the Year might be a little bit of a stretch for her. So those are my feelings on Album of the Year, and you can blast it to the entire world. I don't think Torture Poets should win. You heard it here first. Torture Poets is my Album of the Year. I don't need it to win Album of the Year to feel validated that it was a successful moment and that it, brought something new to my favorite artist's legacy. Let's talk about Record and Song of the Year. These are two categories that I think are a bit of a head scratcher for people in general, but Record of the Year is supposed to really recognize the performance and the production of a song. So it's really more about how the song sounds rather than what the song says. It's awarding the overall package performance delivery of a song. Song of the Year, however, recognizes the storytelling, composition, structure, and lyrical content. Production is not a significant factor here. And if you can believe it, Taylor Swift is one of the most nominated artists for Song of the Years. I think she has 7 nominations, and she has never won it before. And you know why? Because she continuously chooses stupid songs to submit, and she's done it again this year. She will not be winning Song of the Year, and nor should she, because what she submitted does not deserve. When I survey Taylor's past submissions, I'm kind of like, only one of these songs really deserved to win in the year that it came out. So we have You Belong With Me, we have Shake It Off, we have Blank Space, we have Lover, we have Cardigan, we have All Too Well, the 10-minute version. And Taylor's Grammy submissions are really peculiar to me, especially when I was looking through what she submitted this year versus what Beyonce submitted this year. Taylor seems to be very tied to submitting her singles for consideration at the Grammys, and that is a bit of a mistake when your record only has 2 singles and one of them is not a very good song. Sorry, that just happens to be the case. I think that Beyonce is submitting Bodyguard and Levi's Jeans and songs other than Texas Hold'em into different categories to give her album a bit of a wider shot at getting recognized. And I wonder why one of the better written songs on Torture Poets was not submitted. I think her logic and thought process is the single, the song that the industry knows and that has been pushed and that most people are likely to have encountered. That is the one that is most likely to win. And that might be the case if the songs that she was picking were like the songs that I believe are very, very well written. All the songs that she has submitted before and have been nominated, they're not bad songs, but they certainly don't showcase the very, very best of her songwriting potential. Blank Space, I guess, kind of deserved, but I'd have to see what it was nominated against. The All Too Well 10-minute version was an interesting miss, and that was one of those years where there was like a weird upset and some random person, well, not some random person, Bonnie Raitt, iconic songwriter, but in the scheme of popular culture, not the most relevant artist in the world. All Too Well 10 really deserved that Song of the Year award, and it is kind of offensive to Taylor that she's known as being this prolific songwriter, and yet the one Grammy for songwriters at this award show is something that she has been unable to secure secure. And to that I say, girl, either start releasing better written songs as singles or start submitting songs that are not your singles that were designed to be played on the radio. Because newsflash, if they're not gigantic superpower hits like Espresso, for example, then they're unlikely to be considered. So I think she'll get nominated, but do I think she's going to win? No. Record of the year is a stacked category again this year. Let's start with Espresso. I think that Sabrina has probably as good a chance as anyone else, if not better, of winning for Espresso. Espresso is impeccably produced and one of the biggest hits of the years. Shockingly, it did not go number one on the Hot 100. That's because Shabuzi has been blocking everyone for weeks. But this category typically includes the most stereotypical pop song or obvious hit. Past winners of this category are usually like the most stereotypical pop song or the most obvious and undeniable hit. We have Hello by Adele. That was a huge hit when it came out. We have About Damn Time by Lizzo, Billie Eilish, Bad Guy, 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars, Uptown Funk, Get Lucky by Daft Punk. So what we're trying to identify here, I think, is the most undeniable hit. And of the year, to me, that is Espresso. I think there are also 8 nominations for records, so it is quite an expansive category. I think that Kendrick Lamar is Not Like Us will definitely stand a chance to be nominated here. I mean, it was such a moment. It was such a moment, and I think it had everybody talking, and Kendrick Lamar is a Grammy darling, so I think that he definitely has a shot here. Good Luck Babe by Chappell, Roan. I'm really rooting for that. I can be persuaded to let Good Luck Babe win in record and song of the year because it was just such an organic hit, right? Sabrina Carpenter and Espresso, her label momentum has been mounting and mounting for a long time. There was a concerted amount of money invested into making Sabrina pop off. That's not to say that she wasn't capable of popping off, but she needed the push and she needed the support in order to make it be so. And I think that if we're really awarding excellence and achievement here, we should be looking more towards Good Luck Babe, which doesn't even have a music video and is certainly one of the songs of the year. It has been charting very steadily. It really kind of cemented Chappell's breakthrough and announced her to the world as this new, young, incredible artist to contend with. So I'm really standing for Good Luck Babe to win both of these awards. Fortnite, Taylor Swift, Post Malone, she's going to get a nomination because she's Taylor Swift and because she submitted it. And why wouldn't they? Texas Hold'em by Beyonce, I think that probably will get a nomination too. I think, again, the Cowboy Carter moment to me was a bit of a flash in the pan. It happened really early in the year and it came and went really quickly. I had some help, Post Malone featuring Morgan Wallen. Girl, I don't want that to win, but it was a big hit. So when we're talking undeniable hits, I guess it has a chance. Nasty by Tinashe. I would not be mad at that winning. I think that that is an incredible song and was such a moment. Definitely think it deserves to win for video of the year. Absolutely. Birds of a Feather. I mean, that's Billie's biggest hit of the year. By the way, I'm also talking about what the artists actually submitted to the Grammys and not what I would like them to submit. So all the songs that I'm mentioning are the songs that were submitted. So a lot of people were saying they wanted Billie to win for Lunch for record of the year, but she didn't submit Lunch to my knowledge. She submitted Birds of a Feather and that was probably the right decision. It's popping off again. That has a strong chance. Absolutely. It will 100% get a nomination. We Can't Be Friends, to me, is a strong record or song of the year contender in my personal view. In my objective, do I think that it will pass muster enough with all of this fierce competition to get a spot of 8? I'm not sure. We also have Too Sweet by Hosier and Bar Song by Shabuzi. I think that needs to win an award of some description. I mean, the prowess that that song has in the industry, the way that it has blocked so many queens from going number 1. And also Shabuzi is a really interesting artist that is bringing a lot of diversity to a genre that sorely needs it alongside Beyonce. So I can honestly see it clearing both record and song of the year. Now, something that I think is interesting is that Charli submitted 360 for song and record of the year. And the thing with Brat is that I think it has its best chance at the Grammys winning anything as an overall concept. I think that if you strapped the Grammy voters down to a chair and you asked them to sing a song from Brat, they would be unable to do so. So I don't think that 360 is going to be like a recognizable marquee hit to go for record or song of the year. It also just doesn't have the commercial dominance that any of these other songs have had. Dua submitted for Houdini and Good Luck Babe. Good luck with booking that stage you speak of. Song of the year. Now, there is typically quite a lot of overlap between record and song of the year, so I think we can look at the same pool of candidates and make arguments for them. Sabrina did something very interesting here. So she has 2 kind of gold mine songs that she's sitting on, Please, Please, Please and Espresso, and she submitted Espresso for record of the year, so for overall production and performance, and she submitted Please, Please, Please for song of the year. And that is a smart move because Please, Please, Please was co-written with Jack Antonoff, who also, you know, is known to have received a few Grammys in his lifetime. And it is a very interestingly written song. And it's not just like the lyrics, etc., that are getting acknowledged in Song of the Year. They're also looking at melody, composition, song structure. And please, 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 if you watched Jack Antonoff's like little masterclass that he did on it, is written in a very interesting way. There's like modulation and key changes, and the way that he created the soundscape for it is very interesting. And melodically, it's quite unique. So I think Please, Please, Please has an excellent shot at winning here. And so does Good Luck Babe. I really see a Good Luck Babe win. For songwriting, there's a great argument to be made here. It's got this subtly progressive message, and it has been an undeniable sleeper hit, holding strong on the charts and radio with no music video and very little promotion. From the perspective of excellence, I really think that it deserves. And Dan Nigro is also a very familiar face and name to the Grammys, so that doesn't hurt at all. Beautiful Things by Benson Boone. This is a song that you hear at the straight bar when they're playing Flip Cup. Like, this just is not a song that I would ever turn up of my own volition in my own time when I'm listening to music for pleasure. It is one of those songs that was just created for the world. I feel like not for like a listener. It was just, it exists, okay? And I fear that this song is Grammy bait. It's like a vague, non-specific, philosophical song about the meaning of life. It's just dude rock. And the Grammys love that kind of stuff. And I think they're also going to try and stuff some male artists just for tokenism into Record and Song of the Year, even though those are categories that are stacked with women and should be. Birds of a Feather, from a songwriting perspective, I don't get it. I don't get it, but I think that it will probably get a nomination. Not Like Us, strong contender, excellent clapback. Do I think that it really is leaps and bounds better than the other strong contenders in this category? Not necessarily, but if it won, I wouldn't be surprised. Kendrick Lamar is a poet, so any songwriting award that he receives is well-deserved and due justice. Texas Hold'em and Fortnite. I think that they will also probably both get nominations. Maybe Texas Hold'em will miss him. I do think that Fortnite will get one just because they seem to be cursed to include Taylor in Song of the Year and not give it to her every single time. But neither of them deserves. From a songwriting perspective, not stacked up to the other things that are there. A bar song, and I Had Some Help. Also, I mean, I guess contenders here. Die With a Smile, Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. I think that has a chance. That was very well received. And you also have to think about, like, what are the normal people listening to? Because a lot of the Grammy voters are normal people, or they are record label executives who are very focused on reaching normal people because that is the profitable demographic for them. So that's kind of my spidey sense on what's going to happen. I'm saying Please, Please, Please or Good Luck Babe for Song of the Year. Best New Artist. Did you know that the girls have been like absolutely cleaning up in this department? I think it's something like 6 or 7 years of a streak of women winning this award. And you know what? Long may it last. Long may it continue, because we have some deserving girlies in the category this year. Now, the technicalities of Best New Artist have always befuddled me. They're kind of strange because they're based on the eligibility year of when an artist achieved a breakthrough into public consciousness, and also who haven't submitted to be considered as Best New Artist more than 3 times. So theoretically, Sabrina Carpenter, because she hasn't submitted herself 3 times to the Grammys, despite having been in the music industry for multiple years, is a very strong contender for a Best New Artist nomination. And she gets to exist in the same category as Chappell Roan, which to me feels very deeply unfair because Chappell Roan is a new artist. I guess that Chappell has released a couple of songs in the past, but she hadn't been given a shot the way that Sabrina Carpenter has been given a shot. This is not Sabrina's first full album campaign. Chappell didn't even have an album campaign. She magicked one out of thin air with no budget and word of mouth and hype. So I think that Chappell is the most deserving person to win Best New Artist. And if she doesn't win, I am extremely upset and angry and mad at the Grammys forever. But that's going to happen regardless, whatever they do. Other people that may have a shot here, Megan Moroney has definitely had a breakthrough year and has been overlooked a few times. I believe this might be her last year to be eligible for it, so I could see her getting a nomination. Benson Boone, sure. I mean, he's had a breakthrough. Shabuzi, I mean, again, for all the reasons I mentioned before, big song, artist bringing diversity into a space that sorely needs it. I think he would be a pretty good win if it's not going to go to Chappell. And Teddy Swims, I'm silent about that. I'm silent. Let's talk about pop duo group performance. There's typically 5 nominees in these kind of smaller categories. And Fortnite, Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone winning is more likely than you think, unfortunately. I think that these are the consolation prizes to the big artists that kind of miss out on those major wins. And, you know, they do count. They allow a record to be officially Grammy winning, even if it doesn't win in any of those major categories. Taylor has submitted twice in this category. She also submitted Us featuring Gracie Abrams, which is an abomination. That is a crime against humanity. It does not deserve a win. And if there's 5 spots and she's taking up 2, we need to be in the streets because neither of the songs that she's submitting are particularly deserving or particularly excellent. So I'm not a fan of her doing the double submission there. And Gracie also separately submitted Us as well. They really want that to get a Grammy, and nobody moved. Nobody moved, including everyone in Wembley Night 3 at London Eras Tour. Call me crazy, but Camila and Playboy Cardi both submitted I Love It, and I think it does have a shot at a nomination here. I really do. It was a conversation starter. It had a really good video. The song has really grown on me, and I think that people in the industry were paying attention to it. It was a very stark rebrand for Camila Cabello, so I could definitely see it getting a nomination here. Beyonce submitted Levi's Jeans with Post Malone in this category. That's definitely worth a nomination. Die With a Smile, Gaga featuring Bruno feels like an obvious inclusion. I think Karol G and Tiesto with Contigo has a pretty good shot here too. Shakira and Cardi B. We can't count Shakira out. We can never count Shakira out. And then we have Guess by Charli XCX featuring Billie Eilish. I don't see that winning. The one that I see winning, unfortunately, is Fortnite by Taylor Swift. And I'm not saying that because I want it to win. I just think that the power of Taylor Swift will compel the Grammys to give her some award for Tortured Poets, and I think that this is the one that would be easiest for her to get. So my final prediction of those nominees is going to be Fortnite, Levi's Jeans, Die With a Smile, Guess, and Contigo. Then we have Pop Solo Performance, and curiously to me, Taylor Swift submitted I Can Do It With a Broken Heart rather than Fortnite here, and I guess that's because Fortnite is in the duo, so it can't be Pop Solo Performance. Now, do I think that I Can Do It With a Broken Heart deserves, compared to the other girls in this category, Pop Solo Performance will probably go to a Song of the Year nominee that doesn't get the award, but it could also go to like a smaller artist who will miss out on a nomination in that award. So the people who will probably miss out on a Song of the Year nomination that have submitted to this category are I Love You, I'm Sorry by Gracie Abrams. I could see this winning. It has momentum. Do I think that it's excellent? Do I think that it's good? Not really, but other people do. Beyonce also submitted a different song here. She submitted Bodyguard. We have Beautiful Things as well. Leve submitted Goddess, and I would be very happy to see that win, although I don't think that it will. I could see Hosier taking Too Sweet here. I'm not sure that he's going to clear a nomination. Sexy to Someone by Clairo. I think she has a shot. She's always got a shot. And you know who submitted? Addison Rae. Addison Rae submitted Diet Pepsi for a number of things here. And I'm saying yes. I'm saying Diet Pepsi Pop Solo Performance, or at least music video. I'm saying give Addison Rae a Grammy for the plot. Just do it, please. Troye Sivan also submitted One of Your Girls here. I think that Troye Sivan is going to miss out on most of the major categories. Something to Give Each Other was a strong effort from him, but I think compared to the other records that we have discussed and the other songs that we've discussed, it doesn't stand out to me as a clear candidate for any of the big awards. So I'd be very happy to see Pop Solo Performance going to One of Your Girls by Troye Sivan. That was definitely a moment. It's a great song. The video is incredible. I think we would all be happy to see that. Charli XCX submitted Apple here. And, you know, TikTok song, maybe it'll get an award. Tate McRae submitted an acoustic version of Greedy. Pause. Drink that in. Sit with that. Tate McRae, Greedy, acoustic, Grammy. I'm not seeing the vision. I'm not seeing the vision. I'm sorry, Tate McRae. You are not ready for a Grammy. You have not produced anything worthy of a Grammy yet. Tate McRae, also fun fact, is no longer eligible for Best New Artist because she submitted herself 3 times and never been nominated. So that's unfortunate for her. But to her, I say, you know, we love to dance, we love to do the choreography, but we need to focus on the music. The music needs to get better. And let me tell you, next year, It's Okay, I'm Okay is not going to be nominated for Song of the Year. It's not. So back to the studio. Then we have Pop Vocal Album, which again, I think is going to be a very tight race following Album of the Year. I think this will mostly have a lot of cross-pollination with the albums that were nominated for Album of the Year, maybe with a few pop genre specific sneaks in there. So Midwest Princess, Tortured Poet. We have Tension by Kylie Minogue has been submitted here. Heaven Knows by Pink Pantheress. Tate McRae has submitted Think Later. Again, question mark and no. Actually, there is no question mark. Emphatic no. Resounding no from everybody. Everyone in the crowd says no. Something to Give Each Other, Troye Sivan, maybe could have a chance here. I would like to see it. Radical Optimism, In Your Dreams. Eternal Sunshine and Short and Sweet. I think that Short and Sweet actually also has a very good chance at winning this. Ariana, I believe, has won Pop Vocal Album before for Sweetener, if I'm not mistaken. So I would be very happy to see an Eternal Sunshine here if it doesn't win in any of the other categories. Gracie Abrams is trying to get The Secret of Us a Grammy. And to that I say, God bless you on your journey. God Said No. The Omar Apollo record. Now that is a bit of a sleeper hit. I could see, you know, if we're going to do a surprise, if we're going to do Rewarding the Underdog, perhaps that. CXOXO. Camila Cabello. Did I spontaneously purchase a Camila Cabello CXOXO signed record for $30? Well, yes, I did, because it was $30. I don't think you're going to find any real Grammy contenders selling signed copies of their Grammy potentially winning albums for $30 on their website. I just don't think so. So Camila, God bless you. I hope that you get nominated for I Love It, but I don't see CXOXO standing up to the caliber of what else we have here. Fireworks and Rollerblades by Benson Boone. That is one of the worst album titles I've ever heard in my entire life. I have not heard the record, and I will not be tuning in. I will tune into the videos of Benson Boone walking around in a Speedo. Sure, I'll watch that. but I'm not listening to that music. Not for me. I was looking at the music video category and basically everyone and their mother submitted into it. So it's kind of hard to tell like who even is going to get nominated, but I bolded a couple of the ones that I thought were interesting. Camila Cabello, I love it. I thought that was an excellent video. I thought it was a really good video. I mean, the song even aside, I think the video is just really gorgeous and interesting and has a visual that is so unique and different to other things that we saw this year. Sabrina Carpenter submitted Please, Please, Please. That is a shoo-in. To me, that is a shoo-in. That video really was a moment, and it was also the tipping point, I feel, for the Short and Sweet album campaign. It is where people really started taking Sabrina Carpenter seriously as a pop force, a pop diva, a main pop girl in training, whatever you want to call it. Charli XCX has submitted 360, which is interesting to me because of the Brat music video. To me, Von Dutch is the most excellent music video that she's put out. I mean, the cinematography is crazy. I think that the set design is also really cool. The costuming is great. So bit of a perplexing inclusion, but it's celebrity packed. So I guess if you're trying to appeal to the thing that people are most likely to have seen, it's going to be 360. Doja Cat has submitted Agora Hills. Doja Cat submitted quite a lot of things for the Grammys this year, and I just don't see any of them really getting a strong chance at being nominated for any of the big awards. For a music video, the Agora Hills music video was really cool, so I will give her that. Karol G and Tiesto, Contigo, excellent video. Excellent video, definitely deserves. And for me, my video of the year is Ariana Grande's We Can't Be Friends. That video was such a moment, and it has Evan Peters in it. And I think that the lighting in that video is really gorgeous. The direction is great. The story is great. Ariana is acting her ass off. There's a little bit of a plot. It ties in so well with the conceit of the record. I'm into Ariana winning for that, to be honest. And then we have Addison Rae, Diet Pepsi. Now, I don't know that the Grammys can bring themselves to award Addison Rae for anything yet. Would she be the first TikToker ever to win a Grammy? She would. And I think that we need to have that conversation, but I don't know that the Grammys want to have that conversation with us. That is the problem. Troye Sivan, One of Your Girls, that is another very deserving entry. Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone, Fortnite, doesn't deserve. Fortnite is a commercial. It's literally an Easter egg extravaganza. It is not artistic, in my opinion. So whatever. Tinashe, Nasty. Wow, this category actually is so stacked. Tinashe really, really deserves. And I'm into seeing her win. I would love to see Tinashe win something for Nasty just because it has been such a moment. I also, in maybe some of the R&B categories, would love to see Normani win something for Dopamine. I know that the record really didn't do very well, but it is a great record. And I've been meaning to talk about this for a while. But Dopamine is like such a solid, elegant, graceful debut. It's really meticulously produced. And I think that it is understated and very cool, very chic. If Normani could be bothered to promote it or act like she cared about her career, then perhaps it would have had a little bit more of a shelf life. But I think that, from a production perspective, even maybe from a mixing standpoint, it definitely deserves a nomination somewhere. So that is just like a little birthday brain dump of my thoughts on where the Grammys are going to go this year. Obviously, it's going to be what it is, and I will talk a little bit more about what I think is going to win when the actual nominations come out. You can tune into Evolution of a Snake. We're going to do a recap of all the Grammy nominations, dive into it, talk about who we want to win, and we will also be having the Snammies, the Evolution of a Snake Grammy Awards. And if you want to be voting in that, you got to join our Patreon. It will be live on YouTube in December. That's usually when we like to do it, so stay tuned for that. And wish me happy birthday because it's my birthday. Buy my merch, blah, blah, blah. And I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye, Swifties.